So thank you so much. Good evening. It's another great opportunity. We have to recheck ourselves and see how we can continue with the conversation. It's really, really beautiful to know that I have great companions. Can actually see individuals are coming in. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm hopeful that from Monday, our previous conversation, that it has been impactful for you, and it's making this moment more valuable to you as an individual. So as we come in, possibly we can organize watch party and really explore this particular topic, man in relation to mental health. Our ladies and our mothers there who possibly will join us. I think it's a plus because, believe you me, you're very, very important to men mental health, because they give birth to us, and the first few years of our lives, they breastfeed us, and they really take care of us just to make sure that we are fine. So we really, really celebrate you, ladies, and our women fraternity. And believe you me, you really mean a lot to us. So in this particular conversation, I would wish to share this particular conversation for men who are actually sharing in silence as individuals. So as we wait for the others, I would wish to really appreciate the many men who are actually suffering in silence, and because the society has really misguided us that possibly we need to keep strong even if we are really ailing as individuals. So I'm really dedicating this particular session in terms of mental health to fellow men, and I want to accentuate some few things here and now. That for me, I would wish the man to identify his potential and maximize on it continuously in his own in the different developmental stage that we find ourselves. Because I want to talk about this, I may have part A and part B. Part B may come later because there is a lot of research that will come in this particular input about men in relation to their mental health or psychological health. So karibuni sana. You can invite friends. I can see guys are coming in. It's very, very important to actually take care of each other, and I would wish to welcome everyone. And if you can start a watch party on your side, because it's one of the key things of sharing, because we are who we are because of other people, and other people are there because of us. So this particular topic about men and their psychological well-being is actually very close to me as an individual, because believe you me, a man is a very important aspect in our society, equally to a woman. Not one is more better than the other. So for me, I would wish to see a more functional society, a more individuals who are able to identify their potential and maximize on it. Because believe you me, I really don't belong to the ideology that I should steal from one and give the other, or take from the other and give the other gender. For me, the two genders should actually live in harmony, more of cooperation and complementation, because nature has granted us, or God has actually endowed us differently, and the key thing is cooperation and complementation. So psychological well-being is actually a need for survival to anyone, both male and female. And for me, it's actually very, very important. Like I say, you can have good bed, a very spacious one, may it be 6 by 6 or whichever inches. But the moment you go there, you actually fail to actually sleep, have a healthy, sound sleep for possibly 5-6 hours or 8 hours as recommended. You can also have food but lack appetite. Why? Because you're troubled as an individual, both male and female. So in this particular sense, the man, because it's about the mental health. And also, you can have good clothes, very, very good clothes. Paul Njoroge, thank you so much. He's a colleague in the profession. So I'm looking at psychological well-being as a need for survival, for you to actually be able to have a sense of somebodyness. Who am I? Why am I living? The purpose. The purpose can never be there if I don't discover who I am. And I really love asking this question in every conversation that I start. That who is the most important person in your life? I think this is a question that really begs an answer from every one of us. And especially this evening, I would wish to actually call men and tell them to dare to really answer this question. Who is the most important person in your life? I've gotten all sorts of the answer. My wife, my children. I remember in December, I was having a conversation with possibly men who are 45, 50 years onwards. And I really pose this question: who is the most important person in your world? And even answering this question sometimes is a challenge, because mark my words, who is the most important person in your life? And you will feel, or you will hear individuals saying God. And I tell them I'm not really saying God is the most, I'm not disputing, but I'm talking about a person. Who is the most important person in your life? And some men told me their wives, which I don't dispute. I respect that. Some men told me their children. Some men told me their mothers. And I respect all this. However, for the purposes of this particular conversation, the most important person in your world is yourself. And I repeat this without fear or doubt of even questioning in terms of the ideology that really I ascribe to, or the school of thinking that I use in my work as a counseling psychologist. So the most important person in your world is nobody else apart from you. When you put somebody at the center of your world, this particular person will actually become a problem to you. The people who have actually manipulated men, because you really make somebody not your agenda. You need to be an agenda in your life, because this particular lady who comes in your life, if you have proper structures and you have a sense of somebodyness and a meaning of life, believe you me, you're an item, you're autonomous, you're totally a fully functioning individual. So thank you, Lagat. So for me, when we are talking about the mental health or the psychological well-being of a man, I think for me, it really begs for us to really come up with a very nice foundation. Why are we saying that you're the most important person? Because it is you who is experiencing life. It is you who wakes up. It is you who defines your reality as you face it, as you experience it. Because yes, we come from the same mothers, or we share the same reality for us who have spouses. But believe you me, at the end of the day, you are left with a piece called you. If you cannot take care of the you as an individual, believe you me, it becomes a great problem. Because if I cannot handle myself, if I cannot take care of myself, if I cannot be with myself, even being with another person or being with another gender is actually becoming a problem. So when I'm talking about psychological well-being of basically a man, I am not leaving the other gender outside there, because for me, believe you me, we are there to complement each other and actually cooperate with each other. So allow me to actually accentuate some few things that we will be discussing. So the sense of somebodyness, very, very important, and the meaning of life. For us men to have psychological well-being as we are growing, because I have actually separated my conversation into 5 stages of life. How can we ensure that our men have psychological well-being as children, as adolescents, as young men, as adult, and as they retire, as they become senior citizen? How do we ensure that they are very okay? Because I remember sometime I was facilitating in Moranga, and actually men there were telling me, Greg, if there is one person who really finished as men, it is actually President Moi. Because it is President Moi who agreed to give women IDs. Because previously women were not given IDs. They could not have opened a bank account. So I really had to introspect within myself and really ask myself, is it that I am okay when the other gender has actually been pressed to the wall? Is it I am okay when the woman is not self-actualizing? I think for me, we have to interrogate as a society what it will really mean for ourselves and what it really means for me as an individual who I think I am fully functioning. So these particular individuals, as we will be discussing them, they're affected by different things. As a psychologist, I know the environment shapes us 60%. Influences us 60%. We are only able to influence the environment 40%. That is why in the midst of COVID 2019, whenever we were told to reach home, our economy actually went into a sleep mode or in a wanting mode. So the question that really begs an answer, are you aware as a man that your environment has shaped you 60% and you are able to actually influence your environment only 40%? When I'm aware of myself, the item that we said is the most important thing. How do I become self-aware? Kindly go on my wall and actually check attributes, or how can I become aware of myself? It's a beautiful conversation that we've had, and I will not go back to it. So when I'm becoming aware that the question of socialization is actually very, very important in my life, I will understand my environment being a patriarchy kind of system. Because even when you look at the Bible, it actually places a man on a better pedestal, and it says he. It says he, and he's given an upper pedestal than possibly the other gender. So it's a patriarchy kind of system, and we need to understand the question of toxic masculinity. Is it that the question that I've really asked, is it that when a woman is struggling, that is when I'm okay? Or when a woman is being challenged, or when something is being taken from the women fraternity and it is given to the men fraternity, is it when I'm happy as a man? Or when I actually support the empowerment of the girl child? I'm one person who has been educated by women, because majority of my mentors are actually been women, people that I respect so much. So I'm not really suggesting that women fraternity need not to be empowered. For me, that's a conversation for another day. But possibly let's try to see what is toxic masculinity. How are we educating ourselves as men? Because for me, as we have alluded on this particular conversation, that I myself am the most important person in my world. I can only take care of my wife when I've taken care of myself. I've only taken care of my children when I've taken care of myself. I can only become a good citizen when I have made that I'm sure I'm okay as an individual. So the conversation, as we push it, possibly you can start a watch party on your side, just to share this particular conversation. What kind of an environment are we finding this particular man? Before I go into different aspects of it, we are finding I can see one of my great friends here. She's called Paulina Ngendo. I know she's a lawyer. Sexual Offences Act. It's unfortunate that when I visited Committee Prison and I found young men 16 years actually being there because of the Sexual Offences Act. And Maraga was actually complaining. Did we really define what are we really doing as a society in terms of Sexual Offences Act? Because it is the same age, like this boy is 17 years, the girl is 17 years. But since they are of the same age and the girl parents go and report, this boy will actually be caught, and actually this particular law will actually be applied. Like I met 200 and something boys in committee, YCS, when they're being rehabilitated. So what are we really doing to this particular gender that we are calling men? Are we really raising men who are bitter? Are we raising men who are angered? Are we raising men who are actually ailing? People who can identify their potential and maximize on how they will be. Because for me, it really pains me when I see women fraternity really being in pain. It's actually a really big challenge for us as a society, because believe you me, we cannot really call ourselves civilized when either gender is actually challenged by different realities. So are we really empowering our men continuously? Because when you look at the empowerment of the girl child, it is actually continuous, right from the word go. So what about the empowerment of the man in terms of acquiring skills and competencies that are needed at every developmental stage? It is very, very unfortunate that ladies, especially our women fraternity, are actually continuously acquiring knowledge, but possibly men, we really need to summon ourselves on the need to develop our cognition so that possibly we can fit in a very competitive society. Because here and now, as we are talking, the world does not give a damn whether you are a man or a woman. What it gives a damn to is whether you have the right skills and the right competencies to fit in a certain challenge, to sort a certain challenge. And that is why you're seeing, actually, I've worked in a salon. I was a hairdresser before I did this, and I was doing somebody's hair. Allow me just to withhold her name because she has not given me a go ahead to actually share that if we separate money that belongs to women in a certain bank because she was working for a certain bank, we would chase our women fraternity away from us men. Why? It's because women have actually mastered their environment. They've been educated by whatever they've undergone. They're able to keep memory. But as men, believe you me, you would not see a mature man, 40, 50 years, sitting down with a young man just to explain to them what they are actually undergoing as what or in terms of mentorship, in terms of being mentored on a few things. So I think for me it's very important just to be aware that we as men, we really need to develop ourselves. Another very important thing, like I've said, it's mentorship and socialization is the whole lot of the whole 60%. How does our environment affect us men? I've said possibly the Sexual Offences Act, negative masculinity. Like if a certain boy at a certain age, I will be discussing later, if a boy gets a B and a lady gets a B, the lady who has gotten a B will actually be called for a better grade or for a better course than even the man. So we really need to understand. I don't want to raise men who are angered. Because believe you me, when you get angry with the environment, the first person you destroy is yourself. And I repeat this. When you get angered by your environment and you make yourself the problem, the person you destroy first is not the others, is yourself first. So for me, it's very, very important to actually be an individual who is well adjusted and who is aware of himself. So basically, socialization, what you were told at a very formative years, the first 10 years of our lives as men, is very, very important, because actually the things we were introduced to is way much before we got the cognitive, the ability to actually decipher information and ascribe to some that really add value to us or some that don't add value to us. And also societal expectation. The society has a certain expectation to a man and to a woman. And the key thing is whether the ground shifts, whether more women come in a job market, the man is actually told you have to be the breadwinner. You have to breadwin. You have to go outside there. Those are societal expectations. We cannot really go against them. But when you understand yourself and the reason why you're living the kind of life you're living and the situation you're in, you actually know how to actually move along. Woe unto you if you decide not to actually accept and adapt, because you will destroy yourself as a man. So psychological well-being of a man is actually anchored on 7 dimensions. Very, very important. As a man, if you're listening here, kindly pay attention. The first aspect and the greatest wealth in the world, it is not the many millions we will amass and put in the bank, or many buildings we will buy, or the kind of vehicles we actually drive, or how many women are in your life. It is actually your physical self. What do I mean by physical self? Physical self is from head to toe. How is your BMI? Are you really exercising? Are you really feeding very well? Are you able to relax? Because as men, we find ourselves within the anatomy of self-destruction so much. Why? Because the spaces we spend most of our time with, they're actually very, very destructive. Why? There is alcohol, if possibly alcohol, and there will, and I'm not saying alcohol is good. It's actually is good or bad. It's very subjective to individuals. But the spaces we find ourselves as men, it is actually one thing because they're very, very destructive. If I look at the women fraternity, the spaces they find themselves are actually enhancing because you will not really find them even whenever there will be alcohol. The intake and how they will be within themselves is actually very different from actually men. So I'm saying that the first and the greatest wealth you have as a man is your health. And I say the most important person in your life, before you treat your wife as a queen, believe you may treat yourself as a king. And I repeat this, before you treat your children as princesses and prince, kindly treat yourself as a king. So the physical health is actually very, very important. Check, are you feeding very well in terms of your health? I have a very great man that I respect so much. One of my mentors, allow me not to actually share the name. He said, I have seen that I have not been taking care of myself. He's a gentleman that I respect so much. He has actually been, God has really blessed him in a special way in terms of he has his own company and really, really a great gentleman to us. And he has retired, and I visited him and asked, how has been for you? And he said, it is now my time to take care of myself. Men, we don't take care of ourselves. That is a great challenge. That is why you see so many of us, whenever we get sick, we don't want to get to go to the hospital. And our illnesses are always discovered at an advanced age. Some of us men have actually medical covers. And we will not go for medical checkups because we think we are very okay. And that is why you see life expectancy of the other gender is actually a plus. We really don't want to understand our health. Treat yourself as a king, for you to be treated as one, and for you, the people that you love, your wife and your children, or your girlfriend or your boyfriend or your mother, for them to be okay with yourself. So eat very well, check your BMI, exercise, take a lot of water, feed very well, don't skip some meals, and make sure you balance between sleep and relaxing. COVID 2019 has actually brought a new reality to a man. Why? We are never at home. And if we are at home, we want to run away from that particular home. We don't belong there. Woe unto you if you actually don't make good contacts with the people who care in your life. COVID-19 has actually told you, the people has shown you who care in your life. Because the day will come when you shall go home in the retirement. Where will you go? Where will you go? If you're not aware of yourself and you don't create a conducive environment for you as a man to actually prepare all along in your life, who will you spend your retirement with? Believe you me, it will be a great challenge for you. And believe you me, after 20 years of your marriage, as I will be discussing later, the woman becomes the president of the home. Actually, we call them imperial presidents. They determine what you will eat, who will cook for you, when you will eat, what you will dress, the kind of doctor you will go and see after your retirement. Actually, for me, I actually challenge men, if you make a decision, kindly follow your decision with a lot of responsibility to treat her as one of your most important people in your world. I'm not really advocating for ladies, but you will actually get whatever you actually plant in your life. So for me, the physical self is actually very, very important. Exercise, eat, hydrate, balance between relaxation and pressure for your body to actually take care of itself. Another very important thing is socially. It is a big challenge for us men. How do we invest our own social time? Can these really people take care of us? Actually, one of the renowned pastors in this country actually challenges men. When one man or is declared bankruptcy, Majority of his friends will actually be saying he got bankrupt. But the women fraternity on the other side, what will they do? They will actually go and actually visit one of their own and see how they can help her to actually recover. So are our people, we as men, do we really have true friends? One to us, because our friendships are mostly anchored on the ego. What I can show. What I can show. What is this that I can show to my friends? They will know I have conquered, because men, we are more of conquerors. We want to conquer territories. So this is so biological. So as people, we really need to summon ourselves and really invest in relationships that are worthy. The relationship that can take us to the next level. So who are you relating with? Who are your friends? Relate with people who actually add value in your life. Because woe unto you if you don't establish relationships as a man that you can depend on, that they can take you to the next level. But if our relationship, what are our relationship based on? Our relationship based on the fact that when I see a friend of mine, Lagat, go doing something wrong, can I actually sit with you down and tell you, Lagat, here, I don't think we are really adding something. You really need to surround yourself with people who can be honest with you. Some of our celebs, they're actually going through a lot. Why? They really the cliques that we are forming, the boys club that we are forming, they really lack all attributes of a functional, effective group. And that is why you are seeing some of them actually losing business, because the kind of conversation we are having inside there, it's not about how can we become better individuals. Because believe you me, go to town and you'll see Nyakinywa House, you will see, because that is essentially what we really need to understand as individuals and the kind of circles we are finding ourselves in. So for me, socially, it's very, very important. We will be seeing this particular boy as an adolescent, as a young man, as an adult, and also at the retirement, the importance of social aspect of you as a man, as an aspect of your psychological well-being, and making sure that you have a sense of somebodyness and the meaning of your life is actually expounded. Another very important thing is the economic self. How do we really learn? Are we really teaching our children how to actually start saving money? How to spend their money? Because it's unfortunate that majority of us work really, really, really hard. But the time to go home, we go home empty-handed as men. Truth be told, are we really learning the skills and the competencies to manage our finances? Guys, some of us, it's actually a challenge when we have more money, when we have more resources. Why? We cannot really control those resources. It is actually a big challenge for us. So I think for me, economic self, we really need to start knowing how to make, knowing how to manage, and knowing how to multiply money. And really invest in the right way. Really invest in the right way. Kindly know how to invest. Because believe you me, one of the key aspects of a functioning man is to make sure that you have a sense of boundary. I have always made it clear, and I'm striving to make it clear. Where do I start as Greg, and where do I end? Where does my wife start as an individual, and where does she end? And where do we start as the two of us, and where do we end? For me, boundaries are very, very important. We'll be looking at how we can actually help this particular man metamorphosize to a very functional human being at every point they are in. Another very important thing is moral and ethics. In terms of your moral and ethics, what do you say is right or wrong as an individual? Believe you me, if you don't have a personal philosophy, it will actually be a great, great challenge to you as an individual. So what is this that you really need to understand? How do you make decisions? What really informs you to make a certain decision? What is at threat? And I say this, anything that threatens you and anything that pertains you as an individual, believe you me, you don't need it as an individual. You don't need it as a man. May it be possibly relationship that threatens your family, threatens you. May it be businesses that really, if you engage in, or the deals that possibly you want to engage in, they're threatening your family, they're threatening who you are, they're threatening that which you have taken years and years to build. Actually, you don't need it. So moral and ethics, actually, as you move on different developmental stages, really need to actually augur well, because it is a key item in your functionability as an effective human being. So another very important thing is spirituality. Spirituality is very, very important. And actually, from the good book, the Bible, is actually said that possibly man was created and was given responsibility. So a woman is a helper. I don't dispute all that. However, I live in a 21st century that has actually taken this particular woman to the school that I went. I sat down with her in primary, in nursery, primary, secondary, and at the university level. So what does the new reality dictate to me as a man? Woe unto me if I will be that particular man of yesteryears. The ground has moved. There is a past, there is a present, and there is a future. If I remain in the past as a man, believe you me, it will be a big challenge. It will be a big challenge for me to actually identify and maximize my own resources at any developmental stage. Because how my dad was, I cannot be my dad. Because the woman of that generation and the woman of current generation, the technological advancement here now, they really want somebody who is actually very, very different. And the key thing is to accept and adapt as a man. Another very, very important thing is the cognition. The cognition, or the thinking bit of you as a human being, as a man, kindly. Yes, you will see us men really wanting to read the newspaper, wanting to know the current affairs. I don't dispute. Media is actually very, very important. It sets the agenda and it makes you forget the things that are important in your life. Yes, we'll discuss politics. Actually, if you go to Nairobi, you'll actually see men around City Hall or different places discussing politics. I don't dispute. Politics is a very important aspect. But then, after that politics, then. So, are you really, what is this? Men and any human being listening to me, because I can see even ladies, the greatest organ you have within yourself is what is between your ears. The greatest organ you have is what is between your ears, both men and women. And it is unfortunate, very, very unfortunate, that when it comes to skills acquisition and the competencies, believe me, we are being beaten. We are being beaten by the other gender. And woe unto us, because we are not agreeing to read. Believe you me, the greatest form of education, and I repeat this, the greatest form of education is self-education. Are we really educating ourselves as men just to understand ourselves? Look at the women. Believe you me, call a seminar for men. You will find yourself alone. Not once, not twice have done it. Call a seminar for women. They will actually be overflowing. So, are we really, really developing ourselves as men? Do we read? Are we critical thinkers? Are we creative or something of the sort? Are we really acquiring skills and competencies? Actually, it's a challenge when you look at the 21st century. The kind of economy that we are finding ourselves in is actually absorbing more women fraternity than actually men, and it's actually a great challenge for us. I've participated in preparing both men and women for retirement in different organizations. And for me, it's always a pity, especially for majority of the men according to the statistics. Why? Is because they didn't acquire skills that they can use after retirement. But women, you will find them possibly acquiring some skills, and retirement, it's never that serious for women and also like men. So can we actually strive to actually expand because our minds are like muscles? Can we read an extra page, understand the world history, understand how you can become a better person, etc, etc, etc. Very, very important. Emotional self, especially for the men, it is actually wanting. Very much wanting, very much wanting. Why? The only emotion that we know how to actually express as men, sorry to say, is anger. Is anger. That is the best emotion that we know how to express as men. So the challenge we have, are we becoming emotionally intelligent? Why are emotions very powerful? When we were in our mother's womb and our mothers were threatened, we did not kick. Actually, go and actually do your research. Emotions are more stronger. We had emotions first than we started thinking, than we started reasoning. Our emotions were so much in place. That is how we knew our mothers were not okay, because of the presence of hormones and how we felt it. So emotions are very, very powerful. Men here, we really need to work on our emotional intelligence. In 2010, I was sent to Committee Prison to go and for my practicum there. And I found majority of individuals there, especially men, the bit of emotions has actually been numbed. That is why you see, vis-a-vis the other gender, the female gender, men are more users of drugs and substance abuse than women. Why? We want to run away from how we feel. Because as we were being socialized, we were told not to cry. We were told not to express our emotions. So we really don't know how to be with our emotions. So as a man, for you to be functional, for you to identify your emotions, you need to be emotionally intelligent. In a simple term, what is emotional intelligence? When you're dealing with a hot item, hot object, item, may it be food, may it be the meat that we roast in different occasions as men, you will actually hold it very well and place it in a certain way, in a way that it does not burn you or does not cause injury to another human being. That is exactly how we need to hold our emotions, to take care of our emotions. Can you identify? Am I sad? Am I happy? Am I angered? It's unfortunate the kind of situations we found ourselves as men, and some of us, some living with someone and really becoming angry every day, and deciding to actually kill the woman and kill yourself and possibly write a letter. For me, I cannot really say it is either good or bad, but possibly as a society we really need to actually listen to ourselves as men, and how are we living our relationships? Because some of us really are really investing in a huge way, but you make the other person an agenda in your life more than you are as an individual. Kindly men, it is a high time we summon ourselves to understand our emotions. How do I get angry? How do I get, am I injured emotionally? Because majority of us men are injured emotionally. We cannot really bring out our emotions. We don't know how to be happy. We don't know how to be sad. Men is actually wanting. Can we agree with ourselves? Kindly, I beseech you, men. It is a high time we become emotionally intelligent. Daily, I need to sit down and reflect about myself. Today, was I sad? Was I anxious? Was I happy? Was I sad? How was my day? Because if I'm not aware of it, it will leave me. I will not leave the day. The day leaving you is actually controlling you. But you living the day is when you actually execute your schedule as a person in terms of planning. We'll be looking at skills and competences that as men we need to acquire, and possibly even ladies can learn. What we need to acquire: strategic planning, short-term goals, long-term goals, all under the cognition. What are you being up to? What do you want to achieve in long term? How do you want to what do you want to achieve? How do you want to achieve that? When? Where? How? Why you want to achieve all that? And this will give you your life meaning and definition and a sense of direction when we are going. I have a challenge with especially our young men, 25 years and below, in terms of the male in terms of agreeing to the process. Because we live in a materialistic world, we will be looking at different orientation we find ourselves in. I want to actually fake it until I make it. I don't dispute whether it is good or bad, but I want you as a person to interrogate it. Interrogate it as a person. You see whether it makes sense to you as a person or not. Believe you me, we don't want to agree to a process. We want to be rich overnight. We want to actually fake it. We want to actually show off. We were not like the other men in yesteryears. I'm actually ever challenged by the gentleman I was sharing. He tells me that the father died when he was actually doing Form 5 and Form 6, and he declined to get a scholarship to go to go abroad to be educated there. And he actually told categorically the person who was actually giving the scholarship, I will get into that plane and I will leave my people here languishing in poverty. But the moment I stay here, I will actually make exploit and I will take care of the family. And he was given the blessings as the firstborn of the family by the father. And the father did not stay for long. He had an accident and he got a back injury, the backbone injury. So he didn't stay for long and he died. But that gentleman has moved from scratch, hawking his products to making a formidable company. Guys, I'm ever motivated when I think about that particular gentleman. And I have learned a lot from them. Agreeing to the process. Guys, we are not agreeing to the process. We want to be rich overnight. Believe you me. Easy come, easy go. And that is why I'm ever perplexed. I will actually share as a therapist. When I ask ladies of 30 years, you find somebody is actually driving their own car. They have actually invested and they've bought properties. They've actually invested. But ask a 28-year-old, what have you really done? I've dated so and so. I've actually, we are actually wasting our resources. So men, when it comes to economic, possibly we will be looking at the child. How do we train the child, an adolescent, a young adult, an adult, and at the retirement? I tell men, kindly make sure you retire with liquid money. Make sure you retire with liquid money, or somewhere you will be getting your money. Believe you me, it will be hectic when you retire and go home and you don't have money. Because you will never be energetic forever. Yes, the other day I was 20, 25, 30, 35. And I'm going. Believe me, 40 will be here, 50, 60 will be here, 70 will be here. What have I really done for myself? So emotions are actually very, very important. Just on the key thing is just becoming emotional and agreeing to be with yourself, agreeing to actually become emotionally intelligent. Actually, it is the pedestal we are doing psychology on. So back to my the items that I've shared. Physical self, very, very important. Take care of your physical self. Social self. Look at who you are relating with. Who are your friends? Who are they? What do they propose to you? What kind of conversation are you having? Will that conversation really leak? And actually you start blaming each other and you start apologizing and you start losing business. Kindly take care of the individuals you find yourself in with. If they are adding value to you, they give you a sense of value, they show you that you can. For me, it's a very, very, very important. Economic. Take care of your money. Take care of your money. Kenya is a capitalist society. Believe you me, the more responsible you become, the more authority you will have and the more power you will have. I have no problem with any gender. The more responsible you become, the more authority you have and the more power you have. If you're not responsible as a gentleman, as a man, you will not have authority and you will not have power. Simple. I was taught those three things by a senior gentleman I love so much and I spend most of the time with. He's also a gentleman that I really admire. He started his company with 7,500 way long. Today it's actually circulating a lot of money, and he has actually moved from one level to the next and agreeing to the process. I've really learned a lot from this gentleman. So moral and ethical codes that you ascribe for as a gentleman. Yes, you may not be seen by your wife, you may not be seen by your girlfriend or you may not be seen by your mother or your father. Who are you when you're left alone? If you cannot be comfortable with yourself and you cannot agree to do things that add value to you as an individual, believe you me, it is actually a threat to yourself. Not even to your wife. The first person who is threatened is you. Not your wife, not your children. It is actually you, because you're risking to lose them. Spirituality is actually very, very important. Offer yourself to God. How can you have spirituality that really adds value to you? That gives you issues to do with rational authority. The greatest authority in my life, and I actually say this without fear or doubt of being misunderstood, is reason. Nobody wrote an application to be born a man or a woman. Or nobody wrote possibly the kind of religion you'll come in and etc. We only found ourselves then, we were introduced by our parents. So that is not a decision that you made as an individual. So even the birth, the gender you found yourself in. But philosophically, the greatest authority is reason. Is it reasonable to do that which you are doing as a man? Yes, because reason is way much bigger than even the biology of a man. Reason is much bigger. Why are you doing that? What is the reason why you are doing that? What pushes you to do that which you are doing? So that's very, very important. And cognitively, do you think the right way? Do you have the right skills? And are you a rational thinker? Are you a critical thinker? Do you think through your things? Are you willing to deconstruct your reality and recreate it? Are you acquiring knowledge? And also the emotion. So as I said, possibly my time is actually really, really wanting. So part B of this will involve the boy child as a child, because believe you me, the female fraternity really spend a lot of time with our children, especially the male. Where is the disconnect? Where does the disconnect come? Possibly as adolescent. How do we treat our adolescent individuals as men, to make sure that possibly even at young adulthood we will have guys who actually we can depend on as a society, some people who can push our civilization further, and also as young adults, how do I carry myself in terms of my acquisition of skills and competences in certain area, in terms of career and work area. As adults, how do we make sure that as men, at maybe 35 years to possibly 65 years, how do we carry ourselves? How do we create wealth? How do we take care of the people who matter to us? Because believe you me, whatever you give the world, it will give you double of it. Give the world pain, it will give you pain. Give the world happiness, it will give you happiness times 2. Because for me, I've actually seen men and women, or men who are actually really, really enjoying. And possibly I'm not afraid. Guys, it's really a pleasure just to be in such an environment where I've seen men who are actually taken the responsibility to be men and to actually see themselves through. So I'm really, really, really appreciative. So I think for me, those 7 dimensions will actually give you a sense of somebodyness as an individual, and also the meaning of your life will actually become more deeper, and you'll be motivated to actually have your psychological well-being as a need for survival. So I want to appreciate so much this particular evening, what we've really shared. This is part 1. So because possibly we are going back to normal, it's now 10:30. I want to end there, and possibly part 2. Now we will start go and look at the boy child as a child. How do we make sure that we don't harm his emotions, or he grows as a very balanced person? So we'll be looking at us ourselves as caregivers. How do we need to empower this particular boy? Even as adolescent, who will move closer to him as a mentor, because that is when they are being born now for their lives as men. So who will be with them in terms of societal expectation? How do they deal with them? Because sometimes the society can be very harsh, can be very, very harsh to you as a man. So we'll be looking at how to go about it. Then young adulthood, how do we negotiate our relationship such, because I've seen men really coming from far and wide to just go and commit heinous actions. Why? Because we didn't know how to actually relate or even form relationships that we can translate into marriages. I've had the honor of being on Radio Jambo every Monday from 11 to 12. And the kind of conversation I'm hearing from men, and that is why I said in this particular conversation, as I'm ending it, I'm dedicating this particular work that I'm doing to individuals, especially men who are suffering in silence. Majority of the men are suffering in silence. And really, really, my heart goes to them. And we don't need to be heinous. We don't need to harm the other gender just to prove a point. No, we really need to understand ourselves and take care of ourselves as adults. And also, how do we make sure our senior gentlemen up there as young men or at different developmental stage we are in, we are actually able to actually take care of our senior citizen who are men, and possibly understand them in terms of succession, in terms of, passing the baton from one generation to the next. Because for me, it's about really protecting our civilization and making sure that as genders, we actually identify ourselves, maximize on it, and we're able to cooperate and complement each other. So thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm very delighted for your company this evening. And just adding value, you can actually share this with your friends in making sure that we are creating a very safe environment where both men and women can actually identify their potential, maximize on it, and really we can flourish, because believe you me, we are a unique individuals. And may you be blessed. May you have a lovely, 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 lovely evening. Thank you so much and be blessed. Bye. Appreciated, guys.